Our next session will examine the role of Latin America in the global quest for clean energy. Clean energy, maybe you already know, now represents over a quarter of the region energy's production. So this is what we'll be addressing right now. And for that, let me tell you that leading this dynamic discussion will be our moderator, Mariano Spina, from Bloomberg Linea. Ahí está Mariano. Mariano, the stage is yours. Have a great panel. And I see you later.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation to the International Economic Forum of the Americas. Am I right, Jose Luis, right now? Too far away. What about now? Thank you very much. So we're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about decarbonization in Latin America, some perspective from NGOs, from companies, from eolic energy, industry energies. We're going to have a quite a good discussion. We're going to talk about how are we incorporating itself to the clean energy infrastructures and technologies. Also, we're going to talk about money, and also we're going to talk about what opportunities and what challenges do we have in Latin America. In the first place, we have Sean Beck. Sean Beck is founder, president, and CEO of Aecon Group, a Canadian leader company in infrastructure and construction, mainly in energetic and mining markets. Come on, Sean. Welcome from Canada. Thank you very much. So let's present to Patricio Lombardi from Argentina. He's the Executive Director of Environment Markets Fairness Foundations. We're going to have some quite good discussions with Patricio, surely. Thank you very much. Also is here with us Daniela Manique, CEO of Latin America, Solvay, global leader in chemical solutions. Thank you very much, Daniela. And also Eduardo Ricota Torres Costa, president of Vestas in Latin America. Thank you very much. I'm not giving you so much time, Eduardo, to accommodate. You are going to start with this discussion. So let's talk the first questions about how your company is incorporating itself to the clean technology revolution that we think is happening in not only Latin America, also in the world.
Okay, I will start just to talk one word about Vestas. It's the largest renewable company in the world. We produce wind turbines for onshore and offshore. So when it's come back to your question, I think, if you look at the global warming, we are going to the wrong direction. So in 2023, we had the hottest year record ever. So we need to do something. I think the good part of that is if you look, from last year, if you look wind and solar, it has been, the lowest cost of energy ever. If you look at this, the cost has been decreased more than 60% in the last 10 years. So we have a solution. We have a scalability now, and we have a good cost for energy. But of course, it will come from the industry. We have very nice projects happening right now that shows the energy transition we have. So we have, for instance, ArcelorMittal that just shut down the coal plant in Brazil, and they are moved to renewable. This is one good example of the transition that has been happening. We have Maersk, the largest vessel company in the world, the transport company. So I was with the CEO of Maersk a couple of weeks ago, and they have 753 vessels. So they start with 19 vessels that they have hybrid solution. They acquired 200 more, and they want to be in 25 years 100% clean, with clean fuel. I think ammonia, green ammonia, will be their target in the future. So there is a lot of energy transition happening. I think more for renewable, like ArcelorMittal project. We have direct electrification, that is electric car is a very good example. And we have as well indirect electrification, that is more when we go to green hydrogen projects and also ammonia projects. So all in all, I think the benefit it will be that we can deliver a clean solution with no CO2 emission and in a very good cost as well. But cost is always related to scale, so we cannot forget about that.
Of course. Thank you, Eduardo. We need to do something. Daniela, what are we doing? And what difference do you find between Latin America and other regions?
So, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Many thanks for the invitation. I think I am very, very excited to be in Latin America in the chemical market right now. Okay, so Solvay Group started 160 years ago. Just to give you some history, we started our operations substituting in the glass industry the old process that was created by Louis XIV for the mirror area of the Versailles castle. But that process was creating a lot of acid rain on the cities where it was produced. So Ernest Solvay started all the operation creating a new soda ash process to stop the acid rain on the top of the French cities. This was the very beginning of operation. And here, for instance, in Latin America and Brazil, we started the biggest site that we have in the region, that is 1.2 million tons of product produced every year, with the ethanol industry, with the green chemistry. It started during Second War, when the German vessels started to destroy the vessels that are coming with raw material. We created a new process in Brazil with our own technology to use the ethanol as a raw material, and there was the very beginning of the green chemical industry here in Brazil. Since then, we continue, and I think that this is the talent of Latin America. We have a lot of possibilities, okay? So in terms of Solvay, we are working in three main directions. Number one, for sure, is to be carbon neutral, okay? Once again, we are a kind of role model in the region. Brazil is already 95% carbon neutral because we have the biggest project in Americas to destroy the equivalents of CO2. Okay, it's one of our, we are very proud of this project, okay? This for sure will bring a huge impact in climate, okay? But we are also working a lot in the social aspects because we believe that our communities, they have to understand what we are doing in terms of climate. So we are bringing schools into our sites. We are showing them how we need to work with products with a lower carbon footprint. So we are trying to bring universities inside our plants to show these social aspects. And we are working as well a lot in biodiversity. So as I commented to you, the second biggest site that Solvay has in the world is in Paulínia, in São Paulo, Brazil. We have a farm. We have 16,000 hectares of farm, where we have 277 different species that are being raised inside our farm, creating a beautiful project of biodiversity that 2 years ago we were awarded as the only chemical site in the world with the Gold Award by WHC, the Wildlife Habitat Council. So it shows that Latin America can have a very beautiful step in the chemical area, in the carbon neutrality, and we have biomass, we have aeolic energy, we have solar energy, we have a matrix that is really bringing to us a very strong potential. And Solvay believes in this potential, for sure, not only in Brazil. We have a work that is being done very strongly in Europe, in the United States, in Asia, but I think that this is the point. Chemical market, we have to be the pioneers, and we have to, this is our target, to have very high standards in terms of carbon footprint.
So we are doing something.
Yes.
Very good. Sean, tell us about something about Aecon history and how the energy transition is impacting your business.
A pleasure. First of all, it's Honored to be here today. You know, Argentina and Canada are energy partners because the nuclear facilities you have here in Argentina are of Canadian origin, so we feel some closeness. So Aecon is the largest infrastructure builder in Canada today. And interestingly, a few years ago, as we saw what was coming in terms of renewables and just decarbonization, we made a strategic decision in our company to orient ourselves as much as possible, as quickly as possible, towards energy transition. And we did it knowingly, and today we are 70% of our total volume and growing is in energy transition. So first of all, we are refurbishing all the nuclear facilities we have in Canada to add 30, 40 more years of capacity. We're now building the first small modular reactors in Canada. There's 4 of them, 300 megawatts each. And we are starting to think about exporting that internationally. We're also building a very large hydroelectric project in one of our provinces. And on the storage side, we're building solar parks, and we're now building the largest battery storage facility in Canada. It's underway now. Separately, we're also electrifying existing transit systems that were not electrified until now, and we're building new transit systems that are completely electric. We are also developing very actively geothermal facilities, both for residential and for commercial uses. And we're doing what we preach, and we've already reduced our own carbon footprint by 20%.
Very good, thank you, Sean. Patricio, we already listened to the companies. Let's have some different points of view, probably. How do you see these transitions? And maybe also with the Argentinian perspective, we have a lot of potential, we have a lot of resources. What are you doing also?
Thank you, Mariano. Thank you for the invitation. I'm the only one representing an NGO here, so I'm very glad that the IEFA and Integra, we got the invitation from them, and very grateful for that. The name of the panel is Latam as a key driver for clean energy. And I was listening very carefully to my colleagues. She was talking about biodiversity. We were talking about biomes. So we're going to relate a little bit about these two issues with the energy and the clean energy transition. I just want to share with you more into the holistic approach on how I see Latam, and then we can talk about Argentina. I see Latin America not as a key driver. I see Latin America as the main driver, but not just the energy infrastructure and decarbonization. I see Latin America as the main driver for the global environmental crisis. I'm not talking about climate change. I used to be a minister of climate change, and I don't like to talk about climate change. I like to talk about global environmental crisis. So if we go into that, and if we go back to the elementary school, we're going to see the 3 kingdoms. Remember the mineral, the plants, and the animal kingdom. So in Latin America, why I say that we are the main solution for that. Let's go into the animal kingdom, biodiversity. Brazil, #1 country in biodiversity in the world, #1. Colombia, #2. 6 out of the 10 most biodiverse countries are located in Latin America. So we are the main drivers in terms of the animal kingdom. And of course, biodiversity is key. Oncological raw materials to produce oncological medicine is coming from biodiversity, and our food is coming from biodiversity. Let's go to the plant, biomes. key. Why? Amazon, Atlantic forest, they are the lungs of the planet, and we need them. We need them to get fresh air. We need them to absorb CO2. So we are, again, a kingdom. We are a main driver of that kingdom, plants. And let's go to minerals. I cannot tell you how important is the lithium in the transition. You are an expert on that. So I see the region as the main driver. Let's take a look at this. In 2020, in January, World Economic Forum, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Inter-American Development Bank, saying that 55% of the global GDP depends of nature. 55. And the other 45 depends of what? Of nature as well. And we saw that in the pandemic. We are related to nature because we are nature. But no, in some point, we put in different compartments this. So the first thing to share with you is this holistic approach and see our region as the main driver for the global solution.
Thank you, Patricio. Daniela, we were talking about big projects, really ambitious. We are talking about clean energy infrastructure. We need a lot of capital to go with that. What tools did the companies have to go with that kind of projects? What kind of financial, what is in the market to go with this?
This is a very important point because there is no free lunch. I think that everybody is aware about that. So Solvay today, in the target of the 100% carbon neutrality that we have very strong in our mind, we will need 1 billion euros to be able to go to the complete transformation, okay? And we already invested a lot of million euros every year. So what is very important for us? It's very important for us also to educate the market, to understand that we have to look for these alternatives. I love what you said. So we have the three kingdoms, we have to defend them, and we have to educate our population that sometimes you have, for instance, chemical products with different prices, but one is using 82% of coal, is not really very concerned about the planet, and the other is fighting in a very strong way to defend biodiversity, to look for clean energy, to look for new projects, to invest in new technology. So if we compare, and if we go to the supermarket and understand that the same are the same apples, it will be difficult to justify the price, and there is a price. But on the other hand, the government are paying the price in the hospitals when we have fires taking entire cities, so it has a price. So in terms of Solvay, we are investing hard. Okay, we are trying to find as much as possible technologies with low cost, but with very good payback to minimize the economical impacts, okay? But we need, one, government supporting the initiatives and showing to the population and supporting the different kind of companies that we have, okay? Carbon markets can be a good possibility, okay? For instance, 90% of the work that we have in front of us, we will be able to achieve in terms of carbon neutrality with energy transition. But 10% are very, very difficult to be the cost will be very high to be able to neutralize. So if we can work with non-governmental organizations, with very serious projects that here in Latam we have a lot about reforestation, forestation, and very high quality carbon credits that we can invest, is a very good way to find a carbon market that is outside our value chain that we can invest and go to the 100% carbon neutrality. So in my mind, we need very good technologies, invest in these technologies to be able to be carbon neutral with a lower cost. We need government supporting what we have. We need also policy supporting and giving the how can I say, challenging the companies that are not going to the direction of carbon neutrality. And the third point, a carbon market, but controlling, auditing the quality of these carbon credits. Okay.
Eduardo, is the capital or the financial issue one of the reasons we are not going faster in this transition?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of capital, but sometimes we lack, good projects. So, but we have, it depends as well, the countries and the policies that they have. Of course, if you look at US, they have IRA. It's an incentive for the next 10 years. They are spending $369 billion US dollars with this program. I'm sure US will be very clean in the future. But we cannot afford that in Latin America markets. But we have good examples. If you look at Brazil, 80% of the projects, the infrastructure projects that we implement there, we use the BNDES, the Brazilian Development Bank, and BNB, the Northeast Development Bank. So this is a good example how we can, move forward these projects. We have the Inter-American Development Bank, support, for instance, in Chile, green hydrogen project. So it's appearing more and more, the Inter-American Bank. But what I see, when I talk with the banks and shareholders, what I see more and more, of course, everybody they want good projects with very good returns of investment. But now I have seen in the last months more the concern about the cash flow certainty on the projects, but also how we control the risk. I think the risk is because, for instance, in our case, we have the wind farms that will work for 20 years, 25 years. So, and how you control that? Because if you look back, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we had a lot of companies that do not have, disappear completely. So I think risk is something that is super important in those projects.
Thank you very much. Patricio, you work in Latin America, also in West Africa. There is not enough money in both markets. What opportunities there are, like carbon credits and that kind of tools for these markets?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities in terms of carbon markets, in terms of environmental markets. It kept in my mind when Cristina Perez introduced us, she said, let's put Latin America in another level. In order to do that, we need to, number one, learning the new trends. Just let me get an example on here. It's a lot of people from oil and gas sector. International Energy Agency said that energy consumption will double in 2 years related crypto mining. It will double in 2 years related crypto mining. But if we go to artificial AI, intelligent artificial, it's going to go by 10 in 2 years. So where that energy is coming from? Is Latin America thinking on giving to the world that solution? Are the oil and gas sector thinking about using, for example, the flaring, as I was talking to Patricio last night, the intelligent artificial guy who was talking before, is the oil and gas thinking, companies thinking about the flaring opportunities, using that methane going to the atmosphere to produce energy and do mining of crypto or mining data or putting a hardware hub for intelligent artificial? Well, that is a challenge. That is one of the things that we need to learn. That's why it's important what Cristina Perez said, put Latin America in another level. We need to learn new trends. As you say, we need to educate. In the carbon market took another impulse in the Paris Agreement in 2015. And there's Article 6 is specifically about carbon markets. But in the foundation, we like to focus in on Article 11 and 12. That is, create consciousness about what we are talking today and capacity building. That's key for the region. We need to learn the new trends. We have to understand the 20th century, we passed that. We are in a new century, and Latin America has to be updated with the new trends related to that.
Thank you very much. Let's fly to Canada. How do you see from there all the challenges and opportunities of investments in Latin America?
Before I answer that question, I'll tell the story you just asked about West Africa and Mali. So we were going after a railway line between Dakar and Bamako. And I met the president, Macky Sall, just finished his term. And I looked at the railway line, and I heard about this, I don't know if you've heard this, about the Green Wall. And the Green Wall is a concept of building a wall right across from Senegal going east to stop the erosion and the climate change effects on the desert and desertification of North Africa. And he thought that was a fantastic idea to build a green wall along that railway line. And it's an idea that's still cooking. There's no railway line yet, but we'll see. In terms of Canada investing in Latin America, and I'll talk about our company as an example, we, 15 years ago or so, created the opportunity to develop a new airport for Quito in Ecuador from nothing. The airport there was extremely dangerous, and a lot of airlines didn't like flying in there. So we proposed, developed, financed, designed, built, and then operated this new airport. Very successful in the end, although there were some political repercussions during construction. There was a change in presidents. Our project was declared illegal and unconstitutional, and we had to rearrange that, which we did eventually. So all in all, at the end of the day, successful. We were the concessionaire for until a few years ago, and we sold our interest to a Colombian pension fund. We would do that again. We just won a project today, not quite in Latin America, in the Caribbean, but we continue to focus on new opportunities. I've met some potential colleagues here today, which might allow us to spend more of our development energies here in Latin America. It's definitely a future market for us, much more so than Africa or Asia.
Thank you very much, Sean. We already talked about how Latin America is a key for the clean energy infrastructure, and also already all the efforts that toward the decarbonization of its energy sources, that they represent a quarter of the region energy production. But also we are starting to talk about the deployment of clean technology at scale. We're starting to talk about hydrogen. What do you see about these new markets that they still quite low, but have to happen sometime? And Eduardo, if you want to start.
Okay, I think one of the challenges that we had in this market was, we have been growing too fast. And what has been happening is that, we had a disruption in the supply chain, because we start to grow too fast and to launch too many products very quick, because, we had a paradigm that, bigger turbines is better. What today is not the case in our view, at least Vestas' view, because today we are much more concerned about the quality and the reliability that we have in the products, especially when we go to the sea. If we are going to make an installation in the ocean, the cost to operate and maintain is super high. So if you take a vessel, could cost for us 50,000 euros to 300,000 euros per day. So you have to have a good quality and you have to have reliable products. I think this is where we were put a lot of focus. I think one of the challenges we have as well, it's more about, the grid connection. So, because in some countries the grid is not, united. In other countries, yes, but because of the fast growth, you have the demand in one place and you have the wind parks and solar parks in another place. So how you make that happen? So this is one point. Another very important aspect is the permits. So we have some countries that, the governments, they need to work more towards the permits because it's super important that we receive support. In some countries like Colombia, we could not finish projects because, we have a permits problem. And another aspect that we need to look is about, the communities. So it's super important that we have a very good understanding about the communities and how we support, the projects together with them. Because at least what we try to do every time we go to a place to install wind park, of course we want the community to work with us. Because we are going to be there for 20, 30 years. So we need to bring education. We need to bring, hospitals. We have been doing that. So there are some projects in Brazil, we build the hospitals. So, and education together with health, I think it's important that we combine and have a better, projects.
So that sounds familiar to you, that kind of big-scale projects. Yeah?
Right.
And what do you think about that kind of projects about Latin America? Are we ready also for that?
Absolutely.
You're already doing it, right?
By the way, one of the words we haven't heard here yet today is hydrogen. And we are seeing experiments now of railways and transit using hydrogen as the energy of the future, I think, and the next evolution, I think, in our industry.
Daniela.
So just to let you know, we are working a lot with green hydrogen. The point today is really the cost, because we are ready to do that, but in terms of challenges, so I see 3 challenges. One is the cost. We already have green solutions for almost all our product lines. Is the market prepared to pay for the solutions? Not yet. So this is why education and government, they need to support us to be able to put the solutions into the market. Okay? We have, for instance, a completely textile line that the product is carbon neutral from bio raw materials, biodegradable in ocean, but the price is a little bit more higher than the usual t-shirts that we are used to have. This t-shirt that I have, I'm very proud to say that it has the 3 qualities, but the price is different. So are the average brands aligned to pay the price of this textile? Not so much, but we have the solutions, okay? Second is the time for development. So we have a top silica from renewable raw materials, but it takes 7 years for the tire companies to be to test all the possibilities with the tires to be able to use this product in the final market, okay? So it takes some time. And the third is to guarantee the availability that we will have the bio raw materials in a very correct way. So not, this morning you had a panel here talking about food, etc. So we have to guarantee that we have the bio raw materials coming also from projects that we can trust, that are reliable. So these are some of the challenges that we have in front of us.
Patricio, we have challenges, we have opportunities, but there are also responsibilities. What is your experience in the relation between companies and governments?
Thank you. In the first question, you asked me about Argentina, and I didn't tell you what I think about it.
Don't worry.
The second one, you asked me about West Africa, and I didn't answer that.
Yeah.
So I want to
Don't worry.
answer all of that.
I'm used to. Don't worry.
Your question. In international forums like this and multilateral forums, we hear a lot about financing and the need for money for, in this case, energy transition, decarbonization. We have to start thinking in different ways of finance. One of them, carbon market, as you said. The other one, debt swap for nature. Example, Ecuador did it in $1 billion swap for nature. Another example, what is happening right now in Uruguay. Uruguay is selling the mitigation, is selling CO2 capture to Switzerland, country to country. So that's new ways of getting to finance. But let's go to Argentina and West Africa and what you said on those previous questions. Voluntary carbon market is another financial tool, but IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, Global Gateway is pretty much what you say about the Green Wall, John. So Global Gateway, let's work on that example of the European Union Global Gateway. 50% of the money of the European going to the southern globe, if you said, 50% goes to Africa. And the other 50%, 70 goes to Asia. So Latin America is running way behind. Is our fault? No, it's not our fault. The IDB said a month ago, International Development Bank, less than 4% of Latin America receive money in global impact investment, less than 4%. It's our fault. It's not European, US. It's our fault as a region to start thinking as a region in the same way that West African Alliance with the 16 countries do. That's a fantastic example. And let's go to the Argentinian question. Now that Juan Bautista Alberdi is very famous again. In 1844, Juan Bautista Alberdi went to Chile. He went to University of Chile, and he presented an idea to create an Inter-American bank to address our concerns. 1844. 100 years later, 1959, the OEAs create the Inter-American Development Bank as an appendix of the OEAs. It's the same Latin American Development Bank who was telling us that less than 4% of global impact investment is going to the region. As Christina said, it's time to put Latin America in another level. We need you guys, as in the private sector, are leading the way, are leading the path. So it's time that the international banking, multilateral banking, multilateral organization as the Inter-American Development Bank, and also we need a lot of political courage to think as a region. We cannot see anymore Brazil going to one side, Argentina to the other, Chile to the other. We need political leadership. And you are, guys, in the private sector, the one who can tell you, like, I don't know, like this, but who can tell you to the politicians where we should go.
Thank you for answering my questions, Patricia. We have less than 8 minutes to go. We're in Buenos Aires. Javier Milei is supposed to arrive in a couple of minutes. I would love to listen, just a comment. How do you see Argentina with these new administrations? It's supposed to be more pro-market. What opportunities do you find here in this country? Would you like Eduardo again to start?
Yeah. No, it's a pleasure. I think it's, if you look at Latin America in general, and Argentina is super important, it will play a very important role in the energy transition. I have no doubts about that. Why? Because if you look at the capacity, we measure the wind in the whole world. We are in 90 countries, so we cover the whole globe. So if you look here, we have the best wind in the world. So suppose that we have, for instance, Chile, Brazil, and Argentina are the lowest cost to green hydrogen in the world. So Bloomberg has been doing a comparison of 18 countries. And then if you look at the best 3 countries, when you take a photo in 2020, 2030, 2050, is these 3 countries. Why? Because the capacity factor here is huge. It's much bigger. The capacity factor in average in these 3 countries is 50%. Japan is 25%. So I need to put 2 turbines in Japan to generate the same electricity that here. Do you believe the transition will happen in Germany, where the cost of electricity is more than 100 euros? No, it will gonna happen here. So I think this is a great opportunity for all of us. I am sure about that. Of course, we have to have support from the governments, because we cannot export tax, for instance, because we are fighting with the rest of the world. So we need to be conscious, you know, how we structure the whole value chain. We have to have a stable supply chain as well. This is super important in order to have a faster energy transition. With that, I started saying that we were going to the wrong direction when it comes to global warming. I hope that we can find our way to improve the world.
Thank you very much. Sean, a line about Argentina? Yes, please.
So we are developing certain technologies I mentioned earlier in Canada that we think would be exportable, and one of them is the small modular reactors of 300 megawatts each, which will be almost portable and almost movable from one place to another as needed. The other one is battery storage, where we will capture the energy that Vestas produces for the days when the wind doesn't blow as much, and we will be there, and they can be significant sources of storage. So those are 2 opportunities that I see that would apply particularly to Argentina.
Very good, thank you. Daniela.
So it's more than 100 years that we are in Latin America, in Brazil and Argentina. We will continue to support the region. We have more than 20% of our revenue coming from the region. We have a lot of technologies now being developed here in Argentina for lithium. And we hope to work with the government to support the energy transition, to support green chemistry, and to be able to discuss deeper and deeper how to transform really our industry in a green industry, in a much better industry in terms of carbon neutrality. So we will continue to support Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Latam.
Thank you very much. Patricio, for the Argentinian.
I see a great opportunity. Our country, Argentina, is in the spotlight right now. They are looking at us. We have to know what do we have to do with that. But that's no question. I mean, we are back. Let's go back to the 90s. And we were playing in the international arena, for good, for bad, but we were sitting at the table in the international arena in the 90s and today. So that's why I see the opportunities that Argentina have. I don't know what's going on, but for sure, the world is looking on what Argentina is doing right now. So that creates a great opportunity.
Eduardo, Daniela, Patricio, Sean, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much.